Episode 71. 10 times the pay. Although this was the first time Jade and Michael worked together, they had a tactic understanding. The whole process went smoothly. After she finished acting, Michael looked at her in a different light and gave her an approving look. Good. Very good. After the director finished, he immediately clapped and exclaimed. Adding scenes for her was indeed the right choice. In his professional eyes, this girl would become popular and would bring his movie up, which was also hers by now. Jade heaved a sigh of relief and shook Cade's hand. Thank you, director. Then she said to Michael, Thank you. Go and, rest, he said. Jade was about to change her clothes when Violet waved her down. She said excitedly, Wow, Jade, who were you shooting with just now? He's the most beautiful man in the world. I would die to be in a single scene with him. Wow, I really envy you. Remember to get me an autograph. Hey, Jade, are you listening? Yeah, I'm just not that into him, Jade said. Seriously? I've just seen someone more handsome than him. Jade, since when do you know so many handsome men? Is it the person who drove you here today? Violet jumped up and down, looking very excited. No, the one I'm talking about is even more handsome than him. Jade lowered her head and looked like a giddy little girl. The corner of her mouth unconsciously rose, and Dario's figure instantly appeared in her mind. She thought that if he was filming, he would be even more popular than Michael. Wow, he must be incredible. Violet could not imagine it. Yeah, he is very handsome. Jade's eyes twinkled. When she thought of Dario, her body could not help but heat up. You've got it bad. No, Jade said defiantly, embarrassed. Admit it. I'm going to change my clothes. Jade did not know how to explain to her about Dario. Violet would be shocked. It was better not to say anything. Even if she said something, Violet wouldn't believe her. After taking off her makeup and changing back into her clothes, Jade planned to go home. She didn't expect to run into Michael, who came out of the VIP dressing room. He had already changed out of his costume and put on his own clothes. Michael was wearing a clean white shirt with only a few buttons loosely fastened. The top was open, revealing his strong, wheat-colored skin. He was wearing a pair of creaseless dark suit pants. He gave off a wild and unruly vibe. Violet stared at the muscles on his chest and almost drooled, but Jade didn't react. Although his figure was good, Dario's figure was better, especially his abs. Wow, my Prince Charming is handsome and his body is amazing. Oh, I'm gonna faint. Violet stared intently at Michael. Are you, new? After Michael saw Jade, he took the initiative to greet her. Jade was very surprised. She immediately nodded to him politely and said embarrassedly, Hello, Mr. Porter. I was actually just a minor character. You, are really modest. Your acting skills are much better than Rosie's. Jade was so happy to have someone as experienced as him compliment her acting skills. Thank you, Mr. Porter. Well, Mr. Porter, can I have your autograph? I am a huge fan. Violet nervously hid behind Jade and stuttered. Michael's gaze was focused on Jade. His gaze shifted to Violet for half a second. There was a trace of gloominess in his eyes. Then he let out a hearty laugh. Of course. Thank you, Michael, and you are so handsome. I will watch your shows for the rest of my life. I will always support you. Violet felt like she was going to heaven. She didn't expect Michael to be so friendly. Thank you for your support. The corner of Michael's lips rose, revealing his trademark smile. He signed his name in a carefree manner, and then his gaze stopped on Jade for a minute. He only left when his manager called him. Wow, my Prince Charming signature. Violet held the signature and was about to cry from joy. Hey, go get your money. Jade helplessly sighed, but Violet still stubbornly held on to the signature and refused to let go. Later, I have to post this on social media. If I'd known earlier, I would have asked for a photo together. I'm too stupid. Jade had no choice but to drag her away to get paid as Violet was still in the gaze. Jade got more money than she had expected. "Sir, is this right?" Jade felt a little flustered as she held the cash in her hand. This was the first time she had gotten paid so much. "Are you Jade Winslet?" he said. "Yes." "Yes, that's right," he said. "Damn, Jade, are you going to get rich? I'm so envious." Violet looked at Jade's money and then looked at her much smaller stack. "I didn't expect this. I would love to treat you to a delicious meal. How about it?" Jade said with a smile. "I want to, but I have a blind date. I will let that man buy me some food. Keep your money and be good to yourself." Violet knew Jade's situation, so she felt a little heartache. After that, the two of them separated at the door. Jade was about to take the bus when suddenly the Ferrari appeared in front of her. "Miss Winslet, get in the car." Lucas opened the window and said respectfully. Jade was surprised. How did he know when she was going to come out? "Did Mr. Foster ask you to come again?" Jade asked with a smile. Lucas nodded. "Yes, Mr. Foster asked me to wait here and drive you home." Jade got in the car. She was very excited about how much money she made. She could share the burden for Dario for a while. Jade didn't think that Dario would come back so early, but as she opened the front door to the house, she smelled food cooking. She closed the door and ran into the kitchen. She saw Dario cooking there. Episode 72. Not a normal nightgown. Dario was wearing casual clothes, and although he didn't look as sharp as he did in a suit, he looked friendlier. His sleeves were rolled up, revealing the muscles on his forearms, and Jade couldn't get enough of his scent. Especially while he was cooking, Jade was very attracted to him. It was once said that a man who could cook and work was the most handsome. Evidently, Dario, who was good at both, was very handsome. Dario stole a glance at Jade, who couldn't understand how handsome he was to Jade as she stared at him. A hint of complacency flashed across his eyes. "Little fool, haven't you seen me enough?" When she heard Dario's low and magnetic voice, Jade finally came to her senses. She had been totally entranced by him. Damn it! She even told Violet how infatuated she was. Why did she seem so suddenly? "I'm not a little fool. Why are you in the kitchen, by the way?" Jade said unhappily. "To make dinner for you, of course. I especially came back early for it." What? What did he mean? Did he get off work early for her? Seeing Jade's doubt, Dario explained seriously. "Didn't I say that household chores need to be divided equally? So we should take turns cooking." "But you've already cooked 2 meals today." Jade blinked her eyes and looked at him as he cooked. She suddenly felt doubt in her heart. Did he really not cook before? How did he cook better than her? He was like a chef. "You cook 1 meal and I cook 2 meals. It's very fair," Dario said in a relaxed manner. How is this fair? I'll cook today. You will cook tomorrow." Jade felt a little guilty. He had done so many things for her. How could she let him cook for her too? "No need. Don't you need to memorize your lines?" Dario saw she wanted to come into the kitchen, so he blocked her way as he said so. With an egg still in his hand, he didn't let her in. "Yes, I need to memorize the lines." "Then go and memorize them." "All right. Don't you need to deal with business?" Jade said as she thought Dario must have been very busy as well. The last time she saw him talking business with someone on his laptop. "Yes, but it's more important to cook for you. I can do those things later," Dario said without hesitation. "Dario, don't be so nice to me." Jade felt a surge of warmth in her heart. This was the first time someone was so caring about her. She was so moved that her voice became different. She became very quiet and struggled to hold back a sob. Dario felt his blood surge. "Why are you so easily moved?" Dario put down the things in his hands and strode forward to hug Jade by the waist. He narrowed his charming eyes and stared at her. "Where do you want to eat? Go and recite your lines first. When the food is ready, I will call you to eat." Dario whispered into her ear in a very magnetic tone. Jade's heart shook when she heard him. "All right. By the way, did you miss me today?" Dario asked again. There was a trace of a threat in his eyes, as if he were threatening her to say yes. Jade rolled her charming almond eyes and suddenly revealed a mischievous smile. Of course, I didn't miss you, Jade said as she quickly escaped from his embrace and ran out of the room in a flash. Afraid that he would come in, she even locked the door. Okay, see how I punish you later, he said in a low and hoarse voice as both of them smiled. Then he stared at the door and lowered his eyes. In less than half an hour, Dario knocked on the door. Jade had smelled the fragrance outside long ago, so she hadn't been in the mood to read the script. Her stomach kept growling. Jade carefully opened the door. First, she poked her head out and saw that Dario was not at the door. Then she came out in relief. Dario glanced at her, and the corner of his mouth could not help but curl up. This little fool. Did you think she could escape? What are we going to eat tonight? It smells so good, said Jade as she ran to the table excitedly and stared at the food. She almost drooled at the sight. Dario made 4 dishes and 1 soup. There were all kinds of meat and vegetables. The soup was chicken noodle soup. Have the soup later, it's good for your throat. Dario went and wiped her mouth, although she hadn't really drooled. Dario, you are so considerate. Jade raised her eyes and looked at him. How did he know that she had gone over a lot of lines that day and that her throat was sore? She found the dishes that he cooked to be refreshing. They weren't greasy, but were very healthy. Director Zape had told her specially last time to follow a light diet and pay attention to her figure, because as the female lead in The Decadent Lady, she was playing a very thin character. Don't look anymore, sit down. Dario brought 2 bowls of rice over. Jade took the opportunity to quickly kiss his face. Then she quickly sat down and pretended that nothing had happened. She shouted excitedly, Wow, it's time to eat. Dario's heart skipped a beat. There was a trace of surprise in his eyes. If it wasn't for the 2 bowls of rice in his hands, he would have pushed her down. Let's eat. After Dario passed the cutlery and bowls to her, Jade began to wolf down her food. She didn't dare look into his passionate eyes. Eat slowly. No one will fight with you for food. Dario looked at Jade, who was stuffing herself indifferently. Jade took her time and chewed slowly. As soon as she finished eating, she went to wash the dishes. After cleaning up, she even vacuumed the floor. Dario originally said that he could get someone to clean regularly, but she thought that would be too expensive. She didn't want to spend money to hire someone to clean, so she cleaned herself, even though the place was relatively large. But Dario bought her a really good vacuum cleaner. It wasn't hard for her to clean. It was the first time she used a vacuum cleaner that could turn and clean whenever she saw trash. It looked like a robot and was very cute. After cleaning up, she found that Dario seemed to have disappeared. When she was mopping the floor in the guest room, she found that he was taking a bath. She was so scared that she immediately left the room and didn't dare to look at him. She didn't want anything like what happened the previous day to repeat again. After cleaning, she also planned to take a bath, so she started looking for her pajamas. She wanted to find ordinary and comfortable pajamas, but she couldn't find anything like that. They were all sexy pajamas. Right. They were still very sexy. There were a few more that were even more outrageous. They were made from very few pieces of fabric. They would only protect the sensitive parts. Some of them were not even able to protect the sensitive parts. The sensitive parts were exposed. Could she really wear something like that? Are these even pajamas? They're even more revealing than underwear. Could Dario have brought her all of these? What was he thinking? She finally found the most modest of all the sexy pajamas in the pile. It was a black lace nightgown with an irregular skirt that at least covered her butt. Jade sighed helplessly and thought to herself, forget it, I'll just force myself to wear it. Next time, I should bring back the pajamas from the dormitory. Episode 73. What are you waiting for? After Jade took a bath, she was afraid that Dario might have already returned, so she carefully put on a towel and left the bathroom. Fortunately, Dario wasn't back yet, so she felt relieved. She quickly got into bed and thought about how she should spend the money she earned that day. She wanted to use some of it to buy something for her grandma. She also wanted to buy something for Dario. But it seemed like there was nothing that he needed, and he definitely didn't care about the cheap stuff he bought. She felt distressed. Jade searched online for a long time before she realized it was already 12 o'clock. Only then did she suddenly notice that Dario had not returned. She rubbed her sleepy eyes and was about to go to sleep, but then she felt that something was wrong. Dario was not back yet. Could something have happened? Or did he faint after taking a bath for too long? Thinking about these possibilities, Jade suddenly became anxious. Afraid that something might have happened to him, she immediately pulled off the blanket and ran to look for him. But in the guest room, there was no sign of Dario. She looked around anxiously and finally heard the sound of a keyboard tapping in the study room. She quietly went in to take a look and found that he was concentrating on his laptop with a serious face. She heaved a big sigh of relief. Jade was afraid of disturbing him, so she knocked on the door quietly. "Is something the matter?" Dario asked without looking up. His eyes were focused on the laptop screen. "Dario, it's already midnight. Are you still working?" Jade lowered her head guiltily. It was all because of her. If she hadn't wasted his time cooking, he wouldn't have been awake so late. Dario put down the mouse in his hand, and the corners of his mouth curled up. She actually cared about him. He didn't expect that she hadn't gone to sleep yet. He thought that she would have gone to sleep when she returned to her room. He turned his head and suddenly saw the pajamas she was wearing. Immediately he felt his gaze tighten and his throat become somewhat dry. She didn't know her own limits. She actually dressed that way in the middle of the night to look for him? Did she really not treat him as a man? Did she really think that his willpower was that strong? The black dress wrapped tightly around her tall and straight chest, and its irregular design made her thighs faintly discernible. The most important thing was that the cloth was still translucent. In other words, her pink underwear and her snow-white chest were slightly visible beneath her dress. Dario swallowed his wet mouth, and his gaze stopped at her chest. He couldn't help but curse. Damn it! There were so many pajamas. Why did she choose these ones? This dress even made her chest visible. If Jade was standing naked in front of him at that moment, his reaction wouldn't have been so intense. As it was, her translucent dress was even more stimulating to his eyes, especially while she was standing at the door, very carefully and shyly. Seeing her like that, Dario felt a burst of heat in his lower abdomen. A part of his body was also lifted uncontrollably. Dario quickly looked away and returned his gaze to the screen. He asked in a low and hoarse voice, "Why aren't you asleep yet?" Jade scratched her head and said in embarrassment, I saw that you still hadn't come to sleep, and I was afraid that something had happened to you. I was waiting for you." Dario felt that her 3 last words were especially meaningful in such a situation. He couldn't help but fantasize, given how she was dressed. He squinted his dark eyes and quickly typed one word on the screen. Finished. Then he quickly turned off the computer. In less than 2 seconds, he walked to the door and gently pressed her against the wall. With his hot eyes, he locked her eyes that were moist from being sleepy. "Are you waiting for me to sleep with you?" Dario's voice was especially deep and ambiguous. Jade originally felt that there was nothing wrong with what he said, so she nodded. But then she felt that something was wrong. She found that his eyes were even hotter than before. Her face turned red and she immediately waved her hand excitedly and explained, No, I didn't mean that. What I said was to go to sleep. Don't think about it the wrong way." "Do you really want me to think the wrong way?" "Of course not." Jade stared at him with her beautiful apricot eyes that were wide open. There was even a trace of anger in her eyes. It seemed that the next time she talked to him, she would have to think twice. She had to be careful not to say things without thinking, otherwise he would misunderstand her. "I have something to say to you." Jade looked at him with embarrassment. But before she could say anything, Dario interrupted her and said, "Do you want to do exercises in bed with me?" "What exercises? Can't you be purer in your thoughts?" Jade stared at him angrily. Before, she wanted to repay him well, but now she didn't want to repay him at all. "I'm sorry, Jade. It's just the way you're dressed. Even a gentleman would turn into a beast," Dario said in a serious tone. His tone was low and hoarse. "You are the one who bought all the clothes I'm wearing." Jade lowered her head and found that the clothes were translucent. Why didn't she see clearly before? Oh my God, this is too much. While she was embarrassed, Dario slowly bent down and wanted to kiss her charming lips, but he was dodged by her alertness. Dario stared at her with a pair of dark eyes. Very well. His little wife has learned to resist. Are you free tomorrow? Let's go have a big meal. As long as it's within $150, it's fine. The beef from last time was really quite good. Jade gritted her teeth. In the end, she decided to pay $150 to treat him to a meal. Although $150 was really a lot for her and was enough for her to eat for a month, she felt that the man in front of her was worth it. If it was someone else who had asked him for a $150 meal, he would have scorned it. But this was different because it was Jade who made the offer. Normally, she didn't dare to spend a single cent randomly. He tightened his gloomy gaze, and a trace of surprise flashed across his face. Then, he stared intently at her. Are you sure? Jade thought that he would be too high class for her offer and couldn't help shrinking his neck. She said with some embarrassment, I've only made so much money. When I make more money in the future, I can treat you to delicious food. Fool, that is half of your pay today. How could you waste it on a meal? Dario suddenly looked at her with some heartache. It's okay. I can earn more money, but it has to be within $150. I still need to save another $150 to buy things for my grandma. Before Jade could finish, Dario couldn't help hugging her tightly and kissing her deeply. The rest of the money was for her grandmother. In her heart, it seemed that his status was equal to her grandmother. He had successfully occupied half of her heart. Episode 74. An unfamiliar phone call. A trace of emotion flashed across the depths of his dark eyes. After that, he kissed her even harder. Jade resisted at first, but then submitted and quietly enjoyed his kiss. Maybe it was how good he kissed her that made it hard for her to resist. It was as if she couldn't stop once she began kissing him. Dario kissed her until she almost suffocated. Then he reluctantly sucked her lips and stopped. He was afraid that if he continued kissing her like that, he wouldn't be able to control himself. Jade's face was covered in red. She weakly leaned against his strong chest and panted gently. She felt her legs go weak. Fortunately, Dario's strong arms were supporting her. Otherwise, she would have collapsed on the ground. Dario, did you know that today I was paid more money than I ever have been before? I am very happy. It's always been you who gave me money. I wanted to give it to you as well. Jade buried her face in his chest as she told him her thoughts in embarrassment. A smile flashed across Dario's eyes. He gently stroked her soft long hair and said with some heartache, Little fool, that is the money you worked hard to earn. I will have a heartache if it's wasted on food. Let me treat you to a meal. It's all right. I think it's worth it. Besides, it's just a meal. Compared to what you have given me, it's far from enough. Jade's words made Dario even more unable to control himself. He carried her back to the bedroom and kissed her red and swollen lips again. The kiss was even more intense and passionate than before. It was as if he was going to swallow her whole. His kiss was so sudden and intense that Jade was simply unable to resist. In an instant, she felt her mind go blank. Her heart seemed to have stopped beating, and her breathing became uneven. She could only let his tongue attack her mouth. Between her lips and teeth, she could only feel his cold breath. The long kiss almost suffocated her. In the end, she really couldn't bear it anymore and pushed his body away with difficulty. She was breathing heavily. Dario, don't be like this. I'm almost suffocating. If you continue like this, I will die, Jade said. Seeing that she didn't really have the strength to resist, Dario reluctantly left her alluring lips and turned to her earlobes to nibble gently. Don't worry, I can't bear to let you die, Dario replied. Dario appeared much calmer than Jade, who had difficulty breathing. It was as if he were not the one who had been aroused. Dario carefully helped her up, patted her back, and let her relax a little. In exchange, he only got an angry glare. It's all your fault, Jade said angrily. What do you blame me for being too powerful? Dario replied. Jade felt even more embarrassed when she saw him speak so bluntly. She covered her face and pretended not to see him. I don't want to talk to you anymore. Go away, Jade said shyly. Then I will be gentler next time. Dario gently pulled her hand away and met her shy eyes. Jade took a step back and hid under the covers as fast as she could. She said to him in a warning tone, "Dario, I'm going to sleep now. Please don't disturb me anymore." Then she closed her eyes again and pretended to be asleep. After that, she didn't feel anything unusual and didn't hear any strange sounds. She thought it was a little strange. She opened her eyes curiously and looked back. She could not have looked, but was shocked when she saw it. She saw Dario and he was already naked. He was standing by the bed and was about to get in. Jade was shocked and quickly shrank to the side. She cried out excitedly, Dario, what do you want to do? You damn pervert. You damn ruffian." Dario, on the other hand, had a calm expression. His face wasn't red, and his heart wasn't beating as fast as he said to her, "I'm going to sleep, of course. Don't you know that sleeping naked is good for your body? I don't mind you sleeping with me." Jade widened her eyes and used all her strength to shout angrily, "I mind!" How could she forget that he liked sleeping naked? She was so scared that she immediately turned off the lights. If she hadn't been so scared, she would have been surprised to see his charming body. Jade hid under the covers and didn't dare to move. She quickly felt a wave of warmth from behind her. His warm body was tightly pressed against her back, making her feel very comfortable and very safe. "Why are you sleeping so close to me? Aren't you afraid of falling down again? Come here." Dario saw that she was about to lie down beside the bed. He firmly pulled her to him and held her in his arms. After a while, Jade wanted to sneak out of his arms while he was asleep. She didn't expect Dario to hold her even tighter. His big hands even patted her bouncy butt. Then, a low voice sounded in her ear. "If you dare to move again, I can't guarantee that I won't do something beastly to you." After hearing his words, Jade immediately held her breath and didn't dare to move anymore. Her face was tightly pressed against his hot chest, and she felt his strong heartbeat. The house was very quiet. It was so quiet that they could hear each other breathing. She would have never thought that there would be a day when she would be so close to this man. There was still a taste of him left in her mouth that made her feel embarrassed. She thought that her face must be as red as a tomato at that moment, and her heart wouldn't listen to her commands. It was beating so fast that she couldn't sleep. In the end, Dario seemed to have noticed it. He actually reached out his hand and gently patted her back to gently coax her to sleep. Jade then felt that her eyelids were getting heavier and heavier. She soon fell into a deep sleep. When Jade woke up the next day, she didn't see Dario's figure. She didn't know when he left. Looking at the empty house, she suddenly felt a little disappointed. But in the kitchen, breakfast and a note were left for her. The note was strong and forceful. It showed a domineering attitude that deeply impressed Jade. She didn't expect Dario to be so forceful, and the handwriting was also good. But what he wrote made her not dare to flatter him. The note said, "Have a good breakfast. Otherwise, wait for me to punish you in bed at night." Episode 75. The manager at the big studio. Jade answered the call. She was told to come to their office at once. Jade initially thought that the person who called her was a swindler, but she also felt that a swindler wouldn't be so professional, so she continued listening. The Milliken Film Media Group was one of the largest companies in the entertainment industry. It employed many of the top stars. Everyone who walked out of this company was a famous movie star. Many actors wanted to work for the Milliken Film Media Group. But why would such a powerful company call a small actress like her? This made her feel very strange. "Miss Winslet, since you are a contracted artist of our company, we want you to come over. And naturally, we have something in here for you," said the person on the other end of the line. When Jade heard what he said, she was simply astonished. A contracted artist? Have you called the wrong person? Jade, a college student from Stonington University, 23 years old, 166 centimeters in height, bust. The person calmly reported all of her information. "Oh, okay, don't say any more. I believe you have the right person, okay. However, I really haven't signed a contract with your company." Jade was about to cry. Did he have to tell her about her bra size? Everyone in the entertainment industry knew that Milliken Film Media Group had never signed a contract with a newcomer, and she was not even considered a newcomer. Those who wanted to sign a contract with them had to be at least B-list celebrities who had debuted for 5 years. Even if some made it without these requirements, only those with great potential were qualified to sign. Jade was just a small actress, so how could she sign a contract with a company like this? Miss Winslet, what's the situation now? I have a contract signed by you. If you want to break the contract, you will need to pay $800,000. I said very seriously. What? $800,000? After she heard how much money she would need to pay, Jade was scared that she didn't dare to say a word. In the end, she had no choice but to go to the Milliken Film Media Group. How could she have become a contracted artist of the Milliken Film Media Group without knowing? This was unacceptable. She had to figure it out. There was no way she would be able to pay the $800,000 penalty. And no one would dare to impersonate the Milliken Film Media Group, right? Who would want to die so badly? She decided to go to the company to confirm the authenticity of the call. If it was fake, she would treat it as a way to broaden her horizons. If it was real, wouldn't that be even better? The Milliken Film Media Group was a company that all artists dreamed of entering. When she went out, Jade specially checked her bag and found that there seemed to be another $300 in it. Her brain short-circuited for a moment. Did this money come out of nowhere? Then she found a piece of paper in her wallet. The note said, "Be good to yourself, baby. Lucas is not free today. If you want to go out, call a taxi." Jade felt the soft part of her heart move. She then shyly picked up the piece of paper and kissed it. She carefully stuffed it back into her bag. But when she went out, she still chose to take the bus. She didn't want to casually spend his money. After taking 2 buses, she finally reached her destination. This was her first time coming to the Milliken Film Media Group. When she saw the magnificent building in front of her, she was dumbfounded. No wonder so many people wanted to enter the Milliken Film Media Group. This imposing manner of the building was frightening. When she walked into the building, she felt its grandeur even more. She consulted the front desk and confirmed the name. Jade was surprised that the front desk didn't ask the security guards to chase her out. Instead, she was told to take the elevator to the 30th floor to find her manager. That's right. She's looking for her manager. Jade couldn't believe what was happening. The word manager sounded so distant to her. She felt that the receptionist was definitely wrong. The receptionist must be referring to the manager of the company. She was just a minor actress. She couldn't have a manager. That must be the case. As she was about to walk toward the elevator, she suddenly saw a familiar figure on the right. He was walking towards the exclusive elevator, and the elevator was only going to the top floor. Her heart skipped a beat. He looked like Dario. Before she could step forward to confirm, she saw that the man in the suit had already taken the elevator and left. She didn't know when Dario had left that day, so she didn't know what he was wearing. She didn't think that much. She thought she must have mistaken him for someone else. She muttered, "Why would he be here?" Her elevator had already arrived. When she was taking the elevator, Jade felt that this building was really tall. It has more than 100 floors. That's simply unimaginable. When she reached the 30th floor, Jade followed the direction she was given at the front desk, and she arrived in front of an office. The door was not locked. She tidied up her clothes and came forward very politely. She knocked on the door and said crisply, "Hello?" In the office sat a man in a white shirt. He was about 40 years old. His expression was serious and he looked very mature. One look of his was enough to tell her that he was very professional. "Are you, Miss Winslet?" the man asked her in a serious voice as he looked at her. Jade nodded and said, "Yes, I am Jade. May I ask if you called me here just now?" "Take a seat." The man pointed at the seat opposite the desk. "Thank you," Jade said. The man took out a contract and showed it to her. His expression was still very serious. "Miss Winslet, take a good look. This is the contract you signed with our company. You signed your own name on it." "What? Is there really a contract?" Jade couldn't help but mutter. She took the contract in surprise and looked at it. The signature on it was actually hers. But why didn't she have any impression of when she had seen this contract before? Jade felt very strange. Suddenly, the expression of the man in front of her changed greatly. His cold arrogance toward her had also changed to reverence. And she clearly knew that this respect wasn't for her, but for the person who suddenly appeared behind her. Even if she didn't see the face of the person behind her, Jade clearly felt his powerful aura. He must be someone important to make this manager's expression change so suddenly. Maybe the person standing behind her was a boss at the Milken Film Media Group. In any case, they must have a higher status than this manager. "Caroline McCoy, you're here. Hurry up and sit." The man had an attentive look on his face and even took the initiative to give up his desk seat. Jade quickly stood up and turned around. She saw a woman who was about 30 years old appear in front of her. The woman was wearing a small black suit and had short hair. She looked very capable, and there was no expression on her face, which made people feel intimidated. Jade looked at the woman stiffly. She felt that the woman's aura was very strong. Facing her, Jade felt that she couldn't breathe. "Hello?" Jade greeted her. Caroline only nodded slightly and didn't say anything. Caroline looked at Jade indifferently, and then sat opposite her. Episode 76. Good dogs don't block the way. The woman quickly skimmed through the contract on the table and then looked up at Jade. Her eyes were very sharp. "Are you Jade? My name is Caroline McCoy. From now on, I will be your manager. I'll be in charge of your schedule. Since you have signed a contract with us, you must follow my arrangements from now on. You must not make decisions on your own. You must not cooperate with companies other than Milliken. You cannot even accept advertisements. Do you understand?" Caroline spoke very quickly and did things very cleanly. Jade had yet to come back to her senses when Caroline had already done everything. Jade looked at the woman in front of her. She only heard 4 words that were swift and decisive. Jade was dumbfounded. She was still in a state of panic. Was she talking to her just now? Manager, sign, contract, schedule? These words were too unfamiliar to her. "Have you seen the contract?" Not yet." She didn't even know how to sign the contract. How could she have read the contract? Caroline frowned and was very dissatisfied. She said sternly, "Why haven't you even read the contract? I will give you 2 minutes to look at the contract. You must remember all the contracts in it." "I will read it right away." Jade trembled as she took the contract from Caroline's hands and quickly finished reading it. Although she didn't know what was going on, being able to sign a contract with a company like Milliken made her even happier than winning a lottery ticket. She excitedly returned the contract to Caroline and said seriously, "Caroline, don't worry. I will definitely comply with the contract." After that, Caroline handed her a business card and said lightly, "Remember to turn on your phone. If you need anything, you can call me. If you are assigned work in the future, you must appear immediately. Do you understand?" Jade nodded very hard. I understand." "You have just signed a contract with our company. You must pay attention to your image, especially when it comes to personal matters. Do you understand?" Jade was stunned for a moment. Actually, she didn't really understand. "Caroline, can you explain it more clearly?" Caroline rolled her eyes and said helplessly, "You cannot have a boyfriend, do you understand? Even if you have a boyfriend, you can only have a private relationship. Without the company's permission, you can't make it public. If you are captured by the paparazzi, you will have to bear the consequences. The company has the right to terminate your contract at any time." Cancel the contract? It's so serious. After Jade heard this, she carefully swallowed her saliva and asked the following question with a trembling voice. "What if I have a husband?" "What? Are you married?" Caroline stared at this young girl who was only 23 years old. Her eyes suddenly became extremely sharp. It was as if Caroline could see through her. Jade saw this and immediately waved her hand forcefully. "No, I was just casually asking." Seeing her say this, Caroline relaxed her expression a little and then said very sternly, "It's good that you don't have. If you are married, you absolutely can't let others know." The marriage situation of some artists has directly affected their popularity, especially when the artist is a girl in her early 20s. If people knew that she was married, she would lose a large number of male fans, and her popularity would drop. The company wouldn't sign such an artist. "I understand. I will definitely pay attention to it. Thank you, Caroline." When she finished speaking, Jade walked out of the office trembling all over. This was the first time she had contact with a manager. She didn't expect it to be so terrifying. It scared her so much that she didn't dare to breathe. The man in the white shirt just quietly ran out. He whispered in her ear, "Miss Winslet, you're lucky. The artists Caroline has managed were all first-class artists. Originally, she said that she wanted me to be your manager, but later on, she didn't know what happened. She became Caroline again. I wish you good luck. Looks like the higher-ups are very concerned about you." Jade's face was full of doubt. Who were the higher-ups? She wondered. "Thank you," she said. After confirming that she'd signed the contract with Milliken, she couldn't believe what just happened. Just when she was about to share her joy with Dario, Jade met someone she knew. A young and beautiful woman approached her. Jade frowned. That person was Amelia Stevens. Jade really didn't expect to see her in this kind of place. She wore a sexy dress, and her brown wavy hair made her look even more charming. Amelia also wore a pair of sunglasses that made her look like an actress. However, Jade knew that Amelia was not part of the entertainment industry, so she had no idea why Amelia was there. She was still a little surprised, but she didn't intend to pay any attention to Amelia. Instead, she walked past her, without any expression on her face. She didn't expect that Amelia would actually stop her as they brushed past each other. "Jade, what are you doing here?" Amelia took off her sunglasses in disbelief. Her eyes were full of arrogance and contempt. This kind of gaze made Jade very uncomfortable. She simply didn't look at Amelia. She spoke to Amelia in a terrifyingly cold tone. "I don't need to tell you why I'm here." After saying that, she didn't bother with Amelia anymore and continued to walk forward. Amelia saw that Jade's attitude toward her was cold, and she immediately became unhappy. Jade had actually married the person she liked, which made her even angrier. She quickly rushed in front of Jade and, looking at her with disdain, said, "It was my younger brother who dumped you, not me. Is there a need to be so aggressive?" When she heard her mention Bruce Stevens, Jade's expression changed drastically. She clenched her fist tightly and clearly remembered what Bruce did to her. She would always remember Bruce, and what he did to her, with hatred. "Miss Stevens, please move aside. Good dogs don't block the way." A voice came from behind. Amelia glared at Jade with eyes painted with delicate makeup. Then she revealed a trace of ridicule. "I know why you're here. I almost forgot that you are a temporary actor. You didn't come here to sign a contract, right?" Amelia saw that Jade didn't answer, so she became even more certain. She continued to ridicule her. "Stop dreaming. When you were with my brother in the past, you could have been considered somewhat famous. Now, I'm afraid no one would invite you to act. Jade, you overestimate yourself too much." Just as Amelia's ridiculing words were leaving her mouth, an incomparably cold voice came from behind her. "Miss Winslet is our newly signed artist. Did you dare to compare one of our artists with a dead person? I think you're tired of living." Episode 77. Jade gets attacked. After Amelia heard the voice, she arrogantly turned around. Just as she was about to ask who this person was, she suddenly saw Caroline's face and couldn't help being dumbstruck for a moment. Her expression changed drastically. Caroline, the most famous manager in the industry, was the one who had spoken. She had won gold medals for her management, which of the people she had trained were not big shots. There were even rumors in the industry that as long as artists followed her advice, they would become famous. What Caroline said next surprised Amelia even more. "What did you just say? Jade is your newly signed artist? How is this possible?" Caroline coldly looked at the gorgeous woman with a trace of disdain on her face. "If someone thinks that they can take a shortcut just because they have some money in their family, then they are looking down on Milliken too much. If you want to sign a contract with Milliken, you have to recognize yourself first. Amelia's expression changed drastically when she heard Caroline mock her. She really wanted to sign a contract with Milliken. Her mother also told her that everything had been arranged. She didn't expect to encounter a situation like this when she came over. Whether I do or don't have the qualifications to sign a contract with Milliken, it's not up to a manager like you to take care of it. Amelia was still a little unconvinced. Even if she was a little famous in the entertainment industry, she was not the boss. What right did she have to speak to her like that? Caroline, on the other hand, raised her cold eyebrows indifferently. The corner of her mouth was slightly raised, and there was not a trace of emotion on her face. Her gaze was even more elusive. Then I wish you good luck. I hope to see you at the company tomorrow. After speaking, her face was full of ridicule, as if she was certain that Amelia wouldn't be able to sign a contract with Milliken. Caroline then turned to Jade and said, Miss Winslet, please come to the company before 8 o'clock tomorrow morning. I just picked up an advertisement for you. Remember, don't be late. Yes, Caroline? Jade was so excited that she held her heart. God, did she hear wrong? Could she be shooting a commercial so quickly? All of this happened too suddenly. To her, it was like a dream. Amelia clearly heard what Caroline said and became extremely jealous. She'd been a model for so many years and had never taken an advertisement. While Jade was just a minor character. So how good was she to take an advertisement? What right did Jade have? Amelia wouldn't believe if she went to look for the person in charge now. She wasn't even considered as good as Jade. Jade, don't be so pleased with yourself. You can only act in small roles. If you want to be the main character, you'll have to wait for your next life. Jade originally didn't want to argue with Amelia, but she deliberately provoked her 4 times over. It really made her angry. I'm sorry to disappoint you, but I'm playing the female lead in The Decadent Lady. If you don't know, go and ask someone, Jade said coldly as she looked expressionlessly at Amelia. What did you say? How is that possible? Director Zape had already started to plan the Decadent Lady movie a long time ago. It had been delayed for a long time because of the difficulty of choosing the female lead. It was the most anticipated movie next year. The female lead was actually given to Jade. No, Amelia couldn't accept it. It's the truth. Goodbye. After Jade finished speaking, she turned around and left. Her heart was filled with joy. She'd never felt so happy in her entire life. She felt that the reason she was able to be so bold was that she'd been with Dario for a long time. After Jade walked out of Milliken, she planned to go back home and have a good rest. She went straight to the bus stop. She didn't expect to meet someone she didn't want to meet again. Not far away, a group of men were smoking and chatting together. Suddenly, one of the youths with dyed yellow hair stared at Jade for a long time. Hey, what are you looking at? Another young ruffian followed his gaze and looked over. When he saw Jade, he couldn't help but exclaim, Hey, my God, you have sharp eyes. What a beautiful girl. He had followed Amelia all the way here and didn't expect to meet Jade. She is my cousin. What? She's your cousin? Damn, she's such a beautiful cousin. Why didn't she introduce her to us? The young man suddenly revealed an evil smile. He fiercely smoked a cigarette and patted the shoulder of the man beside him. Then let's go. The few remaining men revealed lustful looks and surrounded Jade. Jade frowned and cautiously looked at the man who suddenly appeared in front of her. She suddenly had an ominous feeling. Sure enough, a familiar person walked out from the crowd. Tyler Winslet. He was the only son of the Winslet family and was very wasteful. He had nothing to do all day long and rarely went home. Jade didn't expect to meet him here. Jade was very angry when she thought about the fact that she had lost most of her father's assets. She wanted to skin him alive. Cousin, I haven't seen you for a few days. You have changed a lot. Tyler looked at Jade with bad intentions. He found that Jade, who used to wear dirty clothes, had suddenly become very fashionable. She even wore high heels and makeup. Her figure was really good, and her appearance was also not bad. In the past, he had really looked down on her and almost didn't recognize her. What are you guys trying to do? Get out of the way. Jade looked at them coldly and subconsciously stepped back, but they didn't give her a way out. One of the men walked forward with a smile and even reached out his hand to touch her, but she dodged it. "Hey, cousin, you're so beautiful. We just want to get to know you and play with you. We won't do anything bad. Get lost." Jade felt disgusted when she saw their faces. "Damn it! How dare you tell me to get lost?" The man was angry. He suddenly reached out his hand to grab her wrist. Jade immediately took out the key from her bag and stabbed his hand with it. "Ah!" His face showed anger and pain. He shrank to the side and angered the others, but Jade also opened a path for herself. Without thinking, she quickly took off her high heels and smashed them. Then she ran. When she crossed the road, she almost got hit by a car. "Stop! Stinky woman!" The few men quickly caught up. Jade didn't dare to turn back. With her life on the line, she could only run forward. Suddenly, she had a flash of inspiration. To Milliken! Yes, if she went there, she would be saved. She turned around, but the young men behind her were already closing in. She knew that if they caught her, she would be dead for sure. Her heart almost jumped out. What should I do? What should I do? Just as she was at a loss, her bag suddenly shook. It was a phone call. How could she possibly answer her phone right then? But in the next second, she remembered something and immediately opened her bag to take out her phone. Sure enough, the number was Dario's. Jade panted heavily and impatiently picked up the phone. Before he could speak, she couldn't help but cry out, "Dario!" Hearing her sobbing, Dario was shocked, and his expression became very serious. "Jade, what had happened?" He wanted to tell her that she didn't need to wait for him at noon. He had something to do, but he didn't expect to hear her crying. His heart tightened with tension. Episode 78. The Fight. "Dario, someone is chasing me," Jade panted. "You slut, I finally caught you," Tyler yelled. "I'll be right there." Dario heard a man's voice. He hung up the phone right away and ran out of the office. He looked very anxious. "CEO Foster, the meeting is just about to start." Secretary Jensen went up and reminded him. Dario didn't even look at her. He just ignored her and left with Lucas. "Hey, CEO Foster, where are you going? Aren't you going to the meeting?" Lucas had planned to take him away after the meeting, but he didn't expect him to leave so soon. "Don't be so long-winded. Come with me," Dario said coldly. At that moment, Jade was surrounded by the young men. She was still a few hundred meters away from Milliken. She wanted to call for help, but the people around her turned away and left when they saw the group of people. They pretended not to see anything. Jade's heart turned cold. "Hey, Jade, why did you run away when you saw us coming? I won't hurt you. We just wanted to invite you to have some fun with us." Tyler looked at her with a wicked smile. Another one of them approached her, step by step. "What the hell are you playing at?" Jade scolded while trembling. "Why are you swearing? You are so disobedient. Let's go. I will take you to play." Just as Tyler was about to go up and grab her, a cold and dangerous voice came from behind them. "Get lost." Jade looked up happily. Sure enough, Dario's figure appeared in the crowd and was quickly approaching her. When Dario appeared, those few men were shocked by his aura. He walked in front of Jade and stood facing them. When he saw her dirty feet, he couldn't help frowning, and his eyes were filled with pain. Instantly, Jade felt her body lighten. By the time she reacted, she was already being lifted and hugged by Dario. "Dario!" Jade lowered her head shyly and suddenly remembered what Caroline said to her. She immediately wanted to come down. "No, Dario, quickly put me down. Don't move, or I'll kiss you in front of everyone." Dario tightly locked his gaze on her red eyes. His heart ached. "Hey, who are you? Get out of the way," Tyler, who had been ignored, said unhappily. Just as he was about to teach Dario a lesson, he happened to meet his pair of cold eyes that were full of hostility. He couldn't help but be shocked. The aura he gave off made people feel fear from the bottom of their hearts. Before Tyler could attack, Lucas had already stood in front of them. Jade took a look and found that Lucas was very different from usual. He seemed to be very excited that day. There was a bloodthirsty look in his eyes, like a ferocious wolf looking at its prey with its eyes shining. Jade pinched his clothes in fear. Dario lowered his head and gently kissed her on the forehead. "Don't be afraid." His magnetic voice was like a tranquilizer and calmed her down. "It's been a long time since I fought. Who wants to try? Oh, forget it. Do you want trouble? Let's go for it." Lucas raised the corner of his lips and lifted his sleeves, revealing his strong muscles. He only clenched his fist with one hand, and the sound of joints cracking could be heard. It was easy to see how powerful he was. Except for Dario, no one knew that Lucas had come out of the Special Forces, the Special Guards. Tyler was not a fool. The two people in front of him were not easy to bully. He and his friends quickly ran away. Jade could finally let out a sigh of relief, but Lucas was a bit disappointed. "Tsk, a bunch of cowards. I haven't moved my fists for a long time." He then looked at Dario with a reproachful look, as if he were complaining that no one had come to find trouble with him recently. Being a driver was boring him to death. But Lucas didn't know that it was because he became Dario's bodyguard that no one had come to find trouble with him. The people who had caused trouble for Dario had all been crippled. "If you're hungry, go find a woman. Don't think about fighting all day long." "Tsk, I'm not interested in women." Without knowing why, Jade looked at them nervously after hearing them. She even hugged Dario tightly, as if she were afraid that he would be snatched away. After watching this, Lucas's face couldn't help twitching. He said rather helplessly, "Miss Winslet, I think you misunderstood my meaning. I am straight, don't worry. He belongs to you alone. No one wants to compete with you." Jade and Dario looked at each other and laughed. She didn't expect Lucas to joke around like that. It seemed that she still didn't know him well enough. "Dario, how could you come here and find me so quickly?" Jade was so nervous that she had forgotten to ask him this earlier. She remembered that she had thought she had seen Dario in the elevator. Was it really him? If it wasn't, how could he have made it to her so quickly? "Lucas and I just happened to be passing by." Dario turned his dark eyes to Lucas. Lucas immediately answered, "Yes, Miss Winslet. CEO Foster and I were in the area." "All right, let's go home." Dario glared at him and then changed the topic. He had almost been exposed by Lucas. Jade looked at them, and her heart was full of doubt. When the three of them were about to get in the car, Jade was in Dario's arms and saw Amelia running out in anger. She seemed very unhappy. Looking at her expression, Jade knew what Caroline said was right. She must have been rejected and even had to leave through the back door. Amelia was unhappy when she went out, but as soon as she saw Dario, her face immediately revealed a smile, and her heart was beating rapidly. She didn't expect to meet someone she liked here. But very quickly, she noticed the woman in his arms. Her eyes turned dark and filled with jealousy at the same time. All she could do was watch Dario take Jade away and get into a limited edition Maserati. Amelia was thought to be a descendant of a famous family, but when she saw the car, she was still shocked. It was not a car that was a limited edition car. She reasoned that Dario must be an extremely rich man. Compared to him, the Stevens family was nothing. She felt even more strongly that Jade wasn't worthy of him. "Jade, what right do you have to sign a contract with Milliken? What right do you have to be in his arms? You don't deserve it. One day, I will snatch it all from you. The female lead and he are both mine." She didn't believe that Jade could have married that man. Jade must have lied to her. That man would be hers. Amelia's face was gloomy. She randomly took out her phone and dialed a number. "Hello, Mum? I want to go to Thompson Entertainment. Milliken doesn't respect the Stevens family. I want to go to Thompson and become famous. Trample them all under your feet," Amelia said angrily as she gritted her teeth. Although Thompson Entertainment was not as good as Milliken, it was also one of the top companies in the industry. It had always been a sworn enemy of Milliken, and the fans of the artists under each company often argued with each other. Episode 79. Evelyn Calls. When they returned home, Dario tightly hugged Jade, who was still in shock. They sat on the sofa, and he gently stroked her hair to comfort her. No, it's too dirty. Dario brought a basin of hot water to wash her feet. At first, Jade felt very embarrassed, but the more she resisted, the tighter he held her. In the end, she had no choice but to enjoy it. She felt that her feet were too private for this kind of thing, but Dario didn't dislike washing them at all. He even carefully dried them after washing. Then he carefully looked for any wounds and gently rubbed them with lotion. Jade felt that she'd entirely fallen into his hands. She began to feel a little afraid because he was so good to her. What if she really fell in love with him? "Didn't I tell you not to take public transport when you go out?" Dario said as he held her small feet. "It's too expensive to take a taxi," Jade replied in a low voice. Dario looked up and stared at her shy eyes. Then he held her in his arms and kissed her forehead and said, "Are you still afraid?" "With you here, I'm not afraid anymore." Jade hid in his arms and felt more at ease. "In the future, you must always tell me when you're going out." "Right. Why did you come out of the Milliken building today?" Dario didn't answer her question. He changed the topic and said, "Are you going out tomorrow?" "Yes, I'm going to shoot an advertisement tomorrow." "Then stay at home today. I'll send you off tomorrow. Are you sleepy? Do you want to go to bed?" Dario narrowed his eyes. He planned to take her to the bedroom. Originally, there didn't seem to be anything wrong with his words. He just wanted her to go to bed, but she felt that there was a different feeling behind what he said, and she didn't know why. She thought about it and decided to stay on the sofa. "I still have to memorize the lines." "Oh yeah, didn't you say something was wrong? I'm home now, you don't have to worry about me. Hurry up and take care of it." "Don't you want me to stay?" Dario stretched out his arms and made a thud as he sat down on the sofa. Jade had the feeling that he was looking at her, which made her extremely shy. He could just barely see her long eyelashes. She didn't want to lie down because she felt too scared at that moment. "Yes, but I don't want to disturb your work." A husband's work is to stay with his wife. Dario saw that she was thinking about something. His eyes were filled with joy. He carried her to the bedroom. "I can walk by myself," Jade said with some embarrassment. It was fine when she was outside, but she was at home and didn't need him to carry her. It made her feel too pretentious. Thinking about being outside, Jade suddenly jumped from his body. She looked very excited. "What's wrong?" Dario asked nervously. When he heard Jade's answer, he didn't know whether to laugh or cry. "I just remembered that I threw my high heels away. I have to go find them. You bought them, and they must have been very expensive." Jade patted her forehead in annoyance. Just then, she actually threw her shoes away a second time to escape Dario. Dario looked at her nervous expression and felt his heart palpitate. "Don't worry about the shoes. I'll buy you another pair. Today, I'll stay here and sit with you." Dario pulled Jade back and forcefully carried her onto the bed. "But no matter how expensive the shoes were, they aren't as important as you." Dario's eyes met her somewhat ashamed look. The atmosphere suddenly became uncertain, and their breathing quickened. Jade moved her delicate lips. She was laying on the bed uneasily. Then she consciously closed her eyes. She seemed to be waiting for something. Her eyelashes trembled slightly. She could feel Dario's aura getting closer and closer to her lips. Just as he was about to kiss her, a bell suddenly rang. Jade opened her eyes and looked at him in a flustered state. She didn't know what she'd been thinking just then. She was actually waiting for him to kiss her. Dario looked at his phone. When he saw Evelyn's number, his eyes immediately darkened. "Wait for me." Dario quickly kissed her lips and left. There was displeasure in his eyes. He felt he'd been disturbed at a critical moment. "Okay." Jade nodded and leaned on the pillow to rest. Dario went to the living room to pick up the phone. As soon as he answered, he coldly said, "What is it?" "You have—" Before Evelyn could finish her sentence, Dario spat out 3 words. "I'm not free." After he finished speaking, he planned to hang up, but Miss Monica's voice came from the other end of the phone. "You aren't at the company today, and you still want to lie to me that you aren't free? Come over. I have something to talk to you about," Miss Monica said discontentedly. Evelyn had thought that with her sister taking action, there would be no problem. She didn't expect that Dario would still say that he wasn't free. When Dario directly hung up the phone, they called again, but the line was busy. Evelyn's expression became unpleasant. She sat motionlessly in her chair. Miss Monica sighed helplessly. She couldn't help but go up and pat her sister on the shoulder. Then she said, "If you like him so much, you should take the initiative. Don't keep asking me to speak for you." Evelyn raised her head. Her eyes were filled with sadness. She smiled bitterly and said in a hoarse voice, "But when you took the initiative, didn't you still not manage to get him to agree?" When Miss Monica heard Evelyn, her face suddenly darkened. She looked at her stubborn sister in disbelief. The feeling in the room instantly became stiff. After a long time, Miss Monica revealed a trace of a cold smile. With resentment, she said, "So, you know, I always knew that we both liked him, but neither of us could get him. Do you know that I love him more than you do? I love him more than anyone else. I've loved him since I was young, and I just want him all to myself." Evelyn couldn't stop the tears flowing down her eyes. Miss Monica was shocked for a moment, but with a sore heart, she still went forward and hugged her sister. There wasn't a trace of expression on her face. "I know, I've already given up on him. He only treats me as his elder sister. We seem to have a good relationship, but only I know of the distance between us." Miss Monica filled her lungs with a breath of cold air. She felt pain in her heart. Miss Monica had worked so hard to become the star that everyone sought after. She'd become the most dazzling person only to attract his attention. But in the end, she discovered that it was all for nothing. "What should I do? Without him, I would have died." Evelyn buried her head in Monica's chest, and she cried for a long time. "Don't worry, I'll definitely help you. You're my sister." The outline of a scheme suddenly came to Monica. She revealed a mischievous smile, which was hard to guess. Episode 80. Is there another woman in Dario's life? When Dario returned to the bedroom, Jade was already asleep. He couldn't help but shake his head and smile. He carefully walked up to her and covered her with a blanket. Then he went to his study room to take care of his business meeting. Although this meeting was very important, he felt that Jade was more important. When Jade woke up, it was almost night. She had woken up because she was hungry. She loved sleeping very much. Just when she was about to go and eat, she was surprised to find that food was already prepared in the living room. Jade looked at Dario and asked, "Didn't you go to work?" Dario nodded and took out the last dish. "I've taken care of everything. It's okay. Didn't I say I would stay with you? You must be hungry. Let's eat." Then she lowered her head in embarrassment and rubbed her face. "I'm sorry, I overslept today. I didn't mean to trouble you to cook for me again. I'll definitely cook tomorrow." "It's fine. Hurry up and sit down." Dario helped her prepare her cutlery. Jade found that the dishes he cooked were not only delicious but also very healthy. The scent of the food made her very hungry. "Mr. Foster, you are a good husband." Jade looked at the dishes on the table and suddenly felt very happy. Dario paused for a moment and then narrowed his eyes. "You can call me by my name." There was a look of anticipation in his eyes. "Shouldn't I call you Mr. Foster?" Jade felt it was best to keep their relationship on a formal note. She'd often called him Mr. Foster because it helped her keep calm and reminded her of the distance between them. She had thought about this very clearly. As soon as Dario found the person he really loved, she would leave his life. She didn't think of their current relationship as though they were a real couple. She knew her position very well. Dario's eyes suddenly became gloomy, and his tone became very cold. "Do you still miss him?" He felt distant because Jade had called him Mr. Foster. "Who?" Jade asked doubtfully. Dario looked at her for a long time before he said, "Your ex-boyfriend." "Mr. Foster, what are you thinking? I don't like him anymore." Jade was dumbfounded when she heard Dario mention Bruce, but she quickly became calm again. She'd almost forgotten about Bruce. Once she realized that he was with her cousin, she had already given up on him. "Mr. Foster, are you jealous?" Jade teased him with a smile. Dario frowned and answered seriously, "Yes." There was a layer of strange emotion in his deep eyes. "What did you say?" Jade thought that she had misheard his words. Did he really say that he was he jealous? Oh my God! "I'm jealous." He sounded even more determined than before. Jade's face turned red, and her heart began beating very fast. She then suddenly felt that it was good for someone to be jealous of her, because it meant that someone finally cared about her. He seemed to know everything that had happened to her like the back of his hand. "Mr. Foster, I don't want to lie to you. I do have someone in my heart, but that person isn't Bruce," Jade said, as she lowered her head in shame. She knew that she shouldn't have said those words, but she didn't want to lie to him. She was still thinking about the person who saved her 5 years ago. But she didn't know if she would ever have the chance to see him again. "I know." Jade originally thought that her words would make Dario very angry. She didn't expect him to laugh. However, he actually seemed very happy. Jade was very confused. Could it be that he thought she was talking about him? She always felt that he misunderstood her, but she was afraid that he would be sad and she didn't want to explain. After dinner, Jade still looked the same, confused. She took the initiative to wash the dishes. After that, Dario went to the study room and Jade went to the bedroom to recite her lines. Then she decided she was too tired and went to take a bath. When she was about to go to sleep, she realized that Dario hadn't come back. She hesitated for a moment and then decided to take a look. But she wouldn't be as stupid as she was the day before. She deliberately put on her coat to ensure that her clothes wouldn't cause him to misunderstand her, and then she walked over. The study room was unlocked. When Jade went in, Dario didn't notice that someone had entered. He was intently focused on something. Jade was very curious about what attracted his attention so much, so she walked up to take a look. It looked like a necklace. She thought that it looked familiar. Just as she was about to take a good look, Dario put it away as fast as he could. Then he turned his head back. His expression was gloomy. "Are you still awake?" "I was about to go to sleep, but when I realized that you weren't back yet, I came to take a look. Mr. Foster, you should go to bed early. Don't work so late." Jade's gaze rested on the box containing the necklace. It seemed to have been there for a long time. It seemed strange that he would keep women's jewelry. Could it be something that belonged to the person he liked? Jade immediately felt very unhappy. "Do you care about me very much?" Dario asked in a low voice as he looked into her eyes. "No, I just don't want you to be too tired." Jade didn't know how to answer. She felt that she should be concerned about him, but she didn't want to be so direct. "Are you unable to sleep without me? Is that why you specially invited me to sleep with you?" Dario pulled Jade over and made her sit on his knees. "Mr. Foster, don't be like this. I'm just worried that you'll stay up too late. It's not good for your health." Jade was a little flustered. She wanted to struggle free, but Dario was holding her too tight. The clothes she was wearing that day were already very conservative. "Then you came to see me because you care about me a lot." "No way." "You not only care about me, but also want me to kiss you, right?" Dario had an evil smile on his face. Jade thought of when she'd closed her eyes and waited for him to kiss her earlier that day. Her face turned red, and she immediately reached out her hand and shyly covered her face. "No, I didn't." Dario forcefully pulled her hand away and kissed her hard. Because his kiss was so sudden, Jade didn't even have time to react. Just when she was about to open her mouth to catch her breath, Dario took the opportunity to stick his nimble tongue in. He began to kiss her hard. The kiss was even wilder than any before. He almost bit her lips. Jade cried out in pain and pushed him away because he was using too much force. She had a frown on her face. "Mr. Foster, you are using too much strength. It hurts." Jade covered her mouth and felt sad. It was the first time he had made her feel that much pain from kissing her. Didn't he say that he would be gentler next time? "Then tell me the truth. Do you really want it?" Dario said in a charming voice as he leaned close to her ear. She felt like she was about to fall in love.